What's up everybody and welcome to the Fight Franchise and our preview and prediction of the main event of UFC 315 where Belal Muhammad looks to defend his welterweight title against Della Maddalena, who's took the bout on relatively short notice where he was pulled from a bout against Leon Edwards at UFC London, where now he's getting the title shot for undisputed gold and an opportunity of a lifetime to try and dethrone current champion and who is on a brilliant win streak, should we add, Belal Muhammad. This is a very interesting bout, a bout which can go either two ways. We're either going to see Della Maddalena, put away Belal Muhammad, or Belal Muhammad most likely put on a snooze fest and smother Della Maddalena. Going to break down the tail of the tape, give you a preview prediction of both guys and how they got here, and then kind of give my overall take on who I think is going to win. So let's just jump straight into it. Let's give you the tail of the tape. Belal Muhammad, 24 wins, 3 losses. Della Maddalena, 17 wins, 2 losses. Both guys 5'11". Both guys similar reach, 72-inch reach for Belal Muhammad, 73-inch reach for Della Maddalena, and 40-inch leg reach for Belal Muhammad, 40.5-inch leg reach for Della Maddalena. So yeah, both guys physically kind of very similar. Just the one thing you will say, Belal Muhammad probably got that extra gear in cardio. He's had the more 5-round fight experience and he's got good cardio. And also probably in the strength department and physicality department, you'd probably edge it to Belal Muhammad, who's probably going to be stronger in there. I wouldn't say he's got the more explosive power in his shots. That's going to go to Della Maddalena, who's got the boxing in the kind of zip in his punches. But, Belal Muhammad is a very strong guy. His strength and conditioning has been on point over the recent years. So we'll see what kind of happens with that. In terms of the physical aspects, you've got to give it to Belal Muhammad, who's probably stronger. But, in the striking, you give it to JDM, which is a striker v grappler matchup. But let's give you both guys. So let's talk about the champion, the undisputed champion, the man who many thought could never, ever become a champion. He did it and he's proved us all wrong in such a fantastic fashion. He's a 9-year veteran now in the UFC. Joins the UFC in 2016 and loses a decision to Alan Jouban, and then wins one via TKO and then loses by brutal fashion versus Vicente Luque, who gets an amazing KO against him. Then he goes on a bit of a win streak, does Belal Muhammad, just kind of, in his decision heavy way, and gets some good wins against Tim Means and Randy Brown and whatnot. And then he comes up against a real kind of welterweight standout over the recent years in Jeff Neal, and Jeff Neal beats him and kind of puts the power and puts the pressure on Belal Muhammad going backwards. And then Belal Muhammad comes, to a decision where he kind of just ups his game, and he just goes on one of the best win streaks in welterweight history. He's now on I think it's a 10-fight win streak with a no contest in being the Leon Edwards bout. When you look at some of the recent wins that he's got, dominated Damian Maia, dominated Stephen Thompson, dominated Vicente Luque, TKO'd Sean Brady. That win has aged like fine wine, that win has. When we've seen what Sean Brady just done to Leon Edwards recently, the way Belal Muhammad smothered him and TKO'd him and finished him on the feet, whether it was the jet lag of Sean Brady going up to Abu Dhabi, whether the moment and the occasion got to him, gosh knows what, but that win's aged like fine wine. Gilbert Burns dominated him in a 5-round bout. And then Leon Edwards most recently took the bout off him where he dominated Leon Edwards in a 5-round bout and just kind of smothered him and battered him, where Leon had moments of success, but it wasn't near enough. The pressure, the grappling, the wrestling, it's just, he is the modern day, and a lot of people are going to hate me saying this, he is the modern day kind of GSP. GSP was the same. When people look back on GSP's legacy, yeah, he had amazing moments of striking and whatnot, but for the most part, he was very similar. He had an overall brilliant game, but it was his grappling and his success in the grappling where he dominated and smothered these guys who maybe were a striker coming in, like Dan Hardy. When Dan Hardy fought for the title and he'd dominate them on the ground. He used an overall mixed martial arts game, but predominantly GSP used his wrestling to get the wins and used his grappling to get the wins. Obviously, GSP had the finishes, the takedowns, the submissions. Belal, if he had that in his game, he could go up a level, but he's coming towards the end of his career. So was the Leon Edwards win his peak? And he's coming off an injury as well. So what is it going to be at the main event of UFC 315? As for JDM, you look at him, his record since joining from the Dana White Contender Series, he's on in the UFC, 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe it's a 7-fight win streak. And he's got some good wins in there. You know, you look at the Randy Brown win, the Kevin Holland win was a close decision. The Gilbert Burns win, you know, coming back from adversity when he's been dominated by Burns, to get that knee and then land the ground and pound. What a win from Jack Della Maddalena. That's one of his best wins. But the one thing you'll note, he dominates in the striking. He dominates catching people coming in. You know, people coming in at him, and he slips back and he's countering with hooks. He's got a nasty body shot, does Jack Della Maddalena as well. But will that work against someone like Belal Muhammad? We'll find out at UFC 315. Some of the technical points I will say and how I see this fight going. I think the one thing you're going to see is Belal Muhammad, he's going to mix it up very well. He did it against Leon Edwards. He's just going to come in, jab at you, you know, land the 1-2 right hand and just shoot for a takedown. He's going to shoot early, and I think that's, if for JDM, is to look for that knee up the middle. It's the pressure from Belal Muhammad. He needs to kind of put the pressure on Jack Della Maddalena early and sap that gas tank, sap that cardio, and kind of just make him hold your weight, get his arms tired, because that's where he's got the zip in his punches. If his arms are tired, he's not going to be able to, you know, sting you back with a shot. He's going to have to be picture perfect, rather than in the early rounds, wherever he kind of clips you with can do damage, like he did against Randy Brown. You know, he was piecing up Randy Brown in nearly all the exchanges. And then once he had Randy Brown scrambling, he dropped him and then got the submission. He's got to take him down early, you know, just jab 1-2. It's very basic, is Belal Muhammad's striking, but there's nothing wrong with basic striking when you're mixing it up. You know, we saw Bo Nickel over the weekend. He got fraud checked by Reina Derrida. He had a similar game plan, and he trusted in his wrestling where, you know, shoots the 1-2, goes for a takedown. Marab does it. Marab's striking is not there to damage you. It's there just to set up his wrestling and just to ragdoll you around and get you tired. It's like this new era of MMA fighters. It's efficiency. Efficiency wins fights at the moment. That's what Belal Muhammad is. Well, that's why he's gone on such a good win streak against the fighters he has. He's been more efficient than them with his cardio, with his energy, with his output. You know, he throws to land, and if he's not landing, he's throwing them as a disguise to take you down, ragdoll you, and smother you. And you know what? His wrestling has improved so much. He is one of the most better wrestlers in the division currently. When you look at guys like Colby Covington, who was, I'm pretty sure, D1, you look at his wrestling compared to Belal's wrestling is way better. His grappling is way better. So credit to Belal from that standpoint. I think what he'll do early on in round one, he'll rush in, but he'll rush in from afar to miss, if that makes sense, because Jack catches people coming in. A lot of his KOs, he's clipping someone coming in, whereas Belal will just throw from a range, 1-2, shoot for a double leg, and just get Jack backing up against the fence. You know, the closer Jack is up against the octagon fence, the better it is for Belal Muhammad and his takedowns, and he can shoot on him, put him up against the fence, and then, you know, dunk him on his head like he did Leon Edwards. That's why Belal had success, you know. Once he got Leon up against that fence really quickly, he would just go for the takedown and just pick him up, and he had his strength, and just kind of put him down on the ground and smother him on the ground. So I think we're going to see a lot of that from Belal Muhammad, and I think he's just going to consistently do that over a 5-round fight. As for JDM, he's going to have to, you know, use his angles, and his takedown defense is going to have to be on point. And he's going to be taken down in this fight if it goes over 5 rounds. He just can't let himself get dejected. He can't let himself kind of feel like, oh, the fight is getting away from me. He needs to know, like, look, I KO'd Gilbert Burns going late into the fight. I can still do it, because most likely what's going to happen in this fight is Belal's going to win at least 2 rounds in this fight. So Jack's going to have to find somewhere to win rounds. Win rounds early. I always say this in 5-round fights and championship fights, because if it goes to a decision, if you bank some of the early rounds going into that 5th round, you're more comfortable in getting the, you know, nod on the judges' scorecards. But I don't think JDM has the capacity to kind of win a decision unless he just pulls out of nowhere these amazing takedown defense. I think Belal's going to be safe with the submission threat, so I don't think he's going to get him there, is JDM. So I think Belal will smother him on the ground. It's just when they get up in exchanges on the feet, will JDM have enough to mix it up with the boxing. I think kicks are going to have to be big on JDM's games. And I wouldn't go even calf kicks because he can catch your leg. I'd just go for like push kicks and teep kicks up the middle and just get him and create that space. You want that space. Space is going to be key for JDM to land his exchanges and land his body shots and kind of have Belal on the ropes. The closer the distance on this fight, the more it benefits Belal. Even when Belal had the TKO against Sean Brady, he did it up close, smothering him and, piling the pressure on. I don't think he's going to want to get into a firefight like that with JDM because JDM's got really good boxing. He'll see the opening and land a hook counter and kind of put Belal out. I think Belal, what he's going to do and his game plan is going to be, throw that 1-2 at range, close the distance, go for the takedown. And if he fails the takedown, it doesn't matter. He's going to have JDM scrambling and he can look for the second takedown. How do I think this fight is going to go? I think you will know how I'm going to predict it. I think Belal Muhammad is going to win a decision. I think he's going to dominate Jack Della Maddalena throughout the fight. I think he's going to smother him. He's going to out-cardio with him. I think he'll have success. Will Jack, he'll stun Belal Muhammad early on and he'll have moments where people think, oh my God, he's going to get back into it. But Belal will do enough over the 5 rounds to dominate him and win the decision. And just overall kind of beat JDM. As I just think for someone to beat Belal, you're gonna have to be good everywhere. You're gonna have to need like you're gonna have to have like submission threats. You're gonna have to have like amazing KO power with grappling against someone like Belal. Belal is a very well-rounded and good fighter, and his athleticism is very good. It's very similar to how Marab dominated someone like Umar, Sean O'Malley. It's a perfect example. These strikers, when they come up against these grapplers, I feel like we went through this era at the start of the UFC 200s where wrestlers were dominating, and then come on after UFC 250, the strikers started dominating, and now we're back into that era where wrestlers are kind of taking back over and the kind of that style's taking back over. So who knows, maybe the strikers will come back soon. But I just think Belal overall will do enough to win a comfortable decision over JDM. I know a lot of fans will hate that pick, but I think give him the respect he deserves. Belal Muhammad is a very, very good fighter. He's a very good fighter with a good win streak behind him and some amazing wins. When you look at some of the best welterweights of all time, Belal Muhammad is throwing his case in there of why he is one of the best of all time. He fights smart. He trains and fights at a fast pace, and he implements his game plan. As much as you guys hate that fact, he implements his game plan and he puts his opponents on his back and he just smothers them and beats on them. And he does that successfully for 5 rounds. It's boring, but it's impactful and it's successful. And it's the best way to win an MMA. So credit to him. Yeah, I'm predicting a Belal Muhammad decision. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Leave a like if you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more MMA and fight content coming soon. We hope you enjoyed the video and we'll catch you in the next one.